Welcome back to YUQ, Your Unanswered Questions podcast. I am Luke Smith, and I'm sitting here with Professor Leo Simpson, public speaker, and an excellent educator, if I could say so myself. Yeah, how are you doing today, Mr. Simpson?
I'm well flattering you are, sir.
Yes, sir. Got to give you the good intro, you know.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know what the proverb says, let another speak for you.
Yes, sir.
Not your own lips, a stranger, not your own mouth. So I appreciate it.
That's true. That's true. And how was your week last week?
Man, it was interesting. I would say I was kind of on a high from, our first recording session and all of that. And very, very much in a position where it was like, man, this is good, what we're doing, right? And then, the week was interesting with the events of last week, or considering when we're recording right now. So, yeah, it's been a lot of great conversations, a lot of observations of some very disturbing things, but also there's like this fuel and fire for continuing to answer the question of how can I create value for someone other than myself. So it's been great. It's been great. You know how I feel about those questions.
Yes, sir. I know. You go deep into the questions. You like it. So I'm trying to think of what I did this week myself, or this past week, I should say.
Well, you didn't play football anymore.
I know. I got injured. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, the problem is I can't answer a question as good as you can. You always go deep into these.
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say I just answer questions differently than you do.
Yeah.
Because you have a way of answering questions. Matter of fact, in the last episode, it was one question. I can't remember what it was. He was like, I got some things to say. And I was like, I want to hear it.
Yes,
because like I'll tell you, one of the highlights of my week last week was being able to put together a letter of recommendation for you. And the reason it was a highlight was because I was able to take a moment to really reflect on what my experiences were with you in the classroom, outside of the classroom, before we even got to this point. And, the roadmap, if you will, that you gave me for how to set up that letter of recommendation, it was such that I was able to kind of think through in a processed manner, like, and what was really my experience with Luke. And so it made it to where I was even more excited for us to sit down, have these conversations, answer these questions.
Yes, sir.
And even be able to say, listen, man, you're in the driver's seat. Like, bring it to me. Let's talk about it. Let's see. It's kind of like that experience in the classroom.
Yes, sir.
Professor.
I'm not too sure about that, Professor. Expand. Yeah, it's great. It's great to always do that.
Yeah.
So yes, sir. Well, how better do we possibly address these kind of things, but to answer more unanswered questions?
Yes, that's why we're here, for unanswered questions
from the audience. I may be the driver, and you may be the co-driver, but this is the audience's car. Isn't that right?
Yeah, it's their car.
So the first question that we have is, what should I do when I face obstacles that make me want to give up?
Ooh, you're asking the right person, because I was a quitter. I was so good at quitting that I would quit, and you would think that I made a good decision. I'll say that again. I would quit, and you would think I made a good decision because of the manner in which I would articulate why I did. So give me the question again for exact verbiage, because I want to tackle it with those specific words, but also so the audience can hear you say it again.
What should I do when I face obstacles? What should I do when I face obstacles that make me want to give up?
What should I do when I face obstacles that make me want to give up. So before we talk about what you do, we've got to talk about the obstacles. Okay. The question is, why are you facing obstacles? Are you facing obstacles because you're in an arena doing something that you actually shouldn't do, or you shouldn't be doing? It's dangerous for you, things of that sort. Because at that point, obstacles can actually serve as a protection measure. Okay. But if you're in an environment engaging in something that you should be doing, it's valuable for others, it is consistent with your purpose, you can add as many words and ideas to that as you like. The obstacle is not, in fact, a deterrent or designed to destroy you, which it can. It's actually designed to be a benefit to you. Here's what I mean. Most people haven't heard this said this way, but I'll give it. I didn't come up with it, but I listen to a lot of great people and they say great things, and so I repeat them.
Okay.
Got it from a guy named Myron Golden. And he said, disruption always follows intention.
Well, you showed us in personal finance class. You showed us.
We talked about this.
Yes, we've seen this guy before.
We've talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
Disruption follows intention. In other words, especially if you are doing something of value, something that's going to be beneficial for someone else, but then when you talk about it being beneficial for someone else and at scale for so many other people, you better believe there's going to be an obstacle. And that obstacle wants you to give up. Why? Because if you give up, the value and benefit that exists being disrupted gives validity to disruption, gives validity to the obstacle, to adversarial factors. Because, I mean, you have an adversary for the purpose of that adversary wanting to win. Otherwise, we wouldn't watch sports. No. Like, we want to see opposition and we want to see somebody come out on top. But the truth is, adversarial realities really are designed to fortify our objectives and give us the ability to transform within them in order to solidify what our purpose is. So if you want to give up, if you face obstacles that make you want to quit, first of all, ask yourself, am I doing something I'm supposed to be doing?
Well,
if I am, why is this thing making me feel like I want to quit? Well, it's because disruption follows intention, and you have a decision to make when disruption comes to disrupt your intention. You can either succumb to it or you can subdue it. And if you succumb to it, not only are you going to destroy the reality of your purpose, but also the benefit that comes on the other side of it. You're going to create all sorts of chaos that you can't even imagine. So don't do that. Do this. When you face obstacles that seek to cause you to want to give up, subdue them so you can dominate and actually see the benefit of why you even started what you're doing in the first place.
That's a good answer right there. I like that. I mean, there's not much.
I had to set it up, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The enigmatic thought process.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I
was a quitter, man. I was the chief of quitters.
Well,
so I knew how to do it. I still do. I just don't do it.
Yeah. Well, that's an important lesson to learn. Well, this kind of correlates a little bit. How can I learn to trust myself and my abilities more?
How can I learn to trust myself and my abilities more? Well, you have to create credibility with yourself. And the credibility that you create with yourself is in the consistent, repetitive, habitual, all those words kind of have similarity, but I'm trying to beat the dead horse, if you will. Consistent, perpetual, repetitive actions that you take that are principled, productive, and profitable, right? So, for example, one way this is a very easy way you can create trust, valuable credibility with yourself. I heard a retired military officer. I can't remember what his rank was. He might have been a general or something like that. He said, when you get up in the morning, make your bed.
I've seen that.
You seen it? He was speaking at a college event, college graduation. He said, make your bed, right? I keep dropping this. He said, make your bed. And he talked about why. Because of two things. One, what you give yourself by having just that small level of excellence and productivity. And then when you come back after a long day, to be able to see that intention that you exhibited early in the day, it gives you this sense of refreshingness, right? So I'll say what he said. Get up in the morning, make your bed.
Yeah.
Admiral William H. McRaven.
Admiral William H. McRaven? Okay. He said that.
Yeah.
Get up and make your bed, right? But it's less about make your bed. Each morning, each day, do something that you know is valuable, beneficial, and progressive for you. And I'll give you an example of this in just a moment. Because if you don't have credibility within, if you don't have trust, and watch this, the word confidence is the essence of trust within us, because the word confide is trust, but confidence is within. So to have confidence within, you have to have trust within yourself. But we lie to ourselves too much because we say we're going to do stuff and we don't do it, right? So let me give you an example. For about 2 to 3 years after I heard the statistics that men who do 40 push-ups a day every day, and I take maybe a day off, like 6 days sometimes, but typically 40 push-ups a day, have lower risk, I think it was like 90-some%, but lower risk of experiencing heart disease, heart attack, heart failure. Now, when I listen to that, I'm like, my dad connected with his passing was somewhat onset by a heart attack. There's another story there, but heart attack was a part of it. So for me, it's like, I want to be very thoughtful about heart attacks. That's how I'm thinking about it. But the thought process is really, how do I position myself to be well set to create value every day in a confident manner? Well, guess what? I need to do my 40 push-ups. Well, when I came to the awareness of that statistic, I couldn't do 40 push-ups a day. I couldn't. Even if I did them in intervals, it was like hard to get there. And so finally I figured out to do intervals. It was like 2 years later, but I kept pursuing it. I wanted to get away from it. Like that first question, it was an obstacle. It was, arms were hurting, had to find the right positions and all those different things. It's crazy. When I started doing the 40 push-ups, like with an interval now, today I'm doing 40 straight.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
But I don't just do 40 push-ups. I also do 40 squats. Now I'm adding in 40 reps of something that focuses on the abs. Then I do what I call 40 seconds of encouragement, where I get in a seated squat and just sit in that squat low. This is like low to the ground squat. Sit in that squat for 40 seconds, and there's things that I encourage myself with in that 40 seconds, things that I remind myself of that are meditative and communicative of the value that I should really be exhibiting. So I'm taking the measures to build trust in my body, build trust in my soul, which is my mind, my will, my emotions, and in my spirit, the source of life that causes me to exist. That's how I do it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how other people can do it too.
That's true. I think there are lots of facets to oneself. I always imagined a board in my head. There's a board of directors. They each have a different a motivation and purpose.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
And so one of them, and the reason I thought about that example is because you were mentioning building trust with yourself. And so there are, some elements of my mind that I'm looking to impress. I'm looking to have credibility with. Because there's one, just like results based facet of my mind. I said, you need to get results. And there's a different facet that actually has to come through and do what I plan to do that day. So I think it's definitely important. That really connected with me, that thing you said about building credibility with yourself. And that gets you the necessary confidence to trust yourself and your abilities more.
I'll tell you this. I'll throw this out to you guys. With that, I even made a pact with myself, covenant, promise, agreement, how you want to look at it. But I made a covenant and I said, if I don't do my 40, 40, 40, which now is becoming a 40, 40, 40, 40, and it might become a 40, 40, 40, 40. I don't know. If I don't do my 40, 40, 40, at least those 3, 40 push-ups, 40 squats, 40 seconds of encouragement, then I cannot eat for the day. Now, you think my body wants to eat?
Yeah.
Now, there's some days I will not do my 40, 40, 40 intentionally because I'm going to fast. And even there's some days when I'm going to fast, I'll still do the 40, 40 so that I'm showing my body, one, I'm positioning you for a certain level of health, a certain level of discipline, but also a certain level of commitment to what matters, right? And so ultimately, you've got to build trust within, because if it's not within, it won't come out. It won't show up on the outside. If you are doubtful on the inside, it's going to show up on the outside, right?
That's true.
And so another time we'll talk about what the self is also associated with, but we're not going to do that today.
Okay. All right. Well, we got plenty of episodes in the future.
Or they can come behind the scenes to
Behind the
the
scenes, yeah.
what's it, YUQ community?
Yeah. Check out the community. We have lots of extra information and Leo insights in there. The rest of it.
Leo insights. I like that.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Our next question is, talking to a man with a large network, a man who knows a lot of important people. How can I build a network of like-minded people who support my growth and goals?
Create value for someone other than yourself. It's that simple. Now, there's some thought process to it. And here's the thing. So I've done a lot of, training, got a lot of experience when it comes to networking and all of that. And I'll tell you, I'm not the super networker. Like, I know a good bit of people, but I'm not the super networker. I know some people who are super networkers. Matter of fact, the business summit with the Woodlands Area Chamber, this year they're going to be doing a workshop for the first time, and the workshop is going to be like a full workshop, no transition between the sessions. It's like 2 hours of like engagement, and it's going to be talking about networking, like how to go from, I think I forget what it's labeled. I have to look at it in the time. Well, here's my point. This lady who's going to be speaking, her name is Stacy. She's a super networker. Like, that's her business. And she teaches people, companies how to do it. I'm not that guy. I just need to say that. But I do know this. One of the biggest problems that people run into when it comes to networking is it's all about themselves. All right? When you network, if it's because of what you stand to gain, you're going to see your network be full of garbage at some point.
Right.
Why? Because people, you've probably heard the saying before, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Okay, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. When you network, it's not just asking the person, what do you do? What type of work, do you like? Who do you serve? And things of that sort. what you really want to know is, what void do you have that us being networked can be satisfied by my value? When we talked about it in personal finance, we all have a value, we all have a void. The problem is when we seek to satisfy our own voids by our own value, which means we're looking to utilize it primarily for our benefit. But when I say, okay, I have value, not primarily for myself, I have value for other people. So when I network with somebody, I'm looking for what void do they have that my value gets to satisfy. When you look at it from that angle, you will always find yourself establishing a connection that person sees you not only as someone valuable, but then identifies, well, what value can they create for you? It's a reciprocal context. So if you approach a person looking at your void and filling your void by what you do for them, what's going to happen is you're going to automatically minimize what not only you can give to them, but what could come from them and from other people. You didn't focus on creating value for someone other than yourself.
Yeah, that's great. The question also focuses on like-minded people who support my growth and goals. That's important too, because how do you find these kind of like-minded people?
So
where do you find them?
So it depends on what you're doing. For example, you like the political environment. Well, you got to be in places where that is, but also you need to communicate it. For example, Daniel's like, hey, Leo, there's this person that's coming in town that I'm connected with. Hey, we ought to get Luke connected with them. That's a part of it. So when you're in an environment where you're creating value for other people, right? People other than yourself, and you're also communicating why you're doing what you're doing, what you value, what your purpose is, what you're progressing toward, then those people, when they see the value that you create, they can see, okay, in the context of what it is that he's looking to do, here may be some voids or some gaps that we can close for him. And they'll actually show you they're like-minded.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's not just a specific environment. Sometimes it's whatever environment you're in, making the best of that environment, creating value for someone or yourself, creating some connections and communications, and having some conversations, communicating what you do, why you do it, what's the love of it, but not being so, overbearing by it. And I guarantee you, people will be, hey, Luke, such and such, you need to connect with them. Mm-hmm. Hey, I know this friend. And a lot of this becomes organic to the degree that it naturally occurs.
I agree with that. I was just about to say that. I said in my mind, if you communicate,
here it is again. Might as well just put it on the table.
The state of your mind, and you tell people what your thoughts are, what your values are, people are naturally going to connect with that.
For sure.
And a networks will arise from that naturally. Just like you said, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you if you agree with that statement. But you already.
I mean, think about how that happened with us. Like you come in the classroom, right? You're there with a group of other students taking a personal finance college course, right? And this goes back to your letter of recommendation. He's like, what is it about me that causes me to stand out among other students? Well, first of all, you ask questions. And not just you ask questions, you ask challenging questions, thoughtful questions. You ask questions that indicate that you're seeking not only knowledge, you're seeking valuable knowledge that can be of value to you and others, like for whatever you're doing. And so I'm taking notice of that, right? And if I am a person who values that and understands the benefit of it, guess what? I'm going to actually naturally say, I got to keep Luke in mind. It's kind of like there's this mental note that's being created. So here it is. Luke goes and does the platform with the debate and all that kind of stuff. And I just happened to stop in that day. I was like, I was probably going to leave. I was like, I'm going to check it out. Especially, I think about 3 or 4 of you all were in my class. I was like, let's go see what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I get over there. I'm like, first of all of y'all were amazing.
Wow.
But you were exceptionally amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so it's like, okay, man, that's amazing. It's great to see him doing what he's doing. So then we have more conversation. You're like, hey, professor, I'm looking to go to law school. I'm looking to do this. I'm like, Then Daniel comes and starts stirring the pot with Professor. You need more.
Yeah.
Now it's like, hey, I know someone. You see how that naturally happens? But it started with, I think this is important to note. It started with, while it naturally happened, that flow of things and you being able to sit in this seat. The truth is, that confidence that we talked about earlier, that trust that we talked about earlier, avoiding those obstacles that we talked about earlier, that right there was all a precursor for being able to say, Luke is this guy. Because you were someone within and it showed without so that others can be about it with you.
Yeah. That's big sense.
This is one of the
Yeah. That's a superb answer right there. And I agree with you, because as you were speaking, I saw what you were saying and I took it a step further in my mind. I was like, I kind of connected the dots and making new ones. And then you happen to go along the exact path that I was thinking of. So I'm glad that we really
like-minded, right?
Yeah. We're like that. And see, we are connected naturally, just like you said.
For sure.
So I think that's all the questions we have to answer today. For today's episode.
For this episode.
For today's episode. That's right. Any closing thoughts to that?
I like how unintentional it was that those questions flowed. You know, it seems like each question had an answer that put us in a position of progression to the next, right? And if you take, this is what I would encourage people to do, to go back and take these questions. There are what, 3 or 4 questions?
3 questions.
There's 3 questions. Take these 3 questions and look at the answers and then let emerge for you the process, the strategy that these questions really revealed. Because, like, as I think about them, it's like each one was a stair step for the other. It's that you can probably go and set you a process for how you can live your life each day, going from doubt to dominance.
I agree. And that's our hope for the podcast, is each episode builds on itself. Each part of the episode builds on itself. So that's a great thought. And I encourage the audience to do that as well as joining our community, which we already mentioned, but that's going to give you a lot more information. It's going to even further connect the dots, give you some extra pertinent details there.
Let me talk about that for a moment. What's really the point of the community beyond the podcast? And here's the thought in my mind. Like, these are snippets of moments where we are, like, at a high level touching these questions, while at the same time giving some very practical, you know, in-depth, thoughtful advice, right? While that's the case, there's so much more we can and should deep dive in. And why wouldn't you, right? But the biggest piece is so many people kind of establish a platform like this, and it's not a bad thing, but establish a platform like this, and there's satisfaction to do this. It's cool. But the truth is, I learned a valuable lesson from Zig Ziglar. Most of the people in this generation, y'all may not know Zig Ziglar. You need to go check him out. He's got some awesome stuff. He's got some awesome stuff. Zig Ziglar did a study of his own customer base. He had his assistant take 100 letters that he received, random letters from clients. Testimonials more so. People had sent them in, they were written letters. And he wanted to know, okay, of that 100, how many people said they were impacted by his speaking? And how many people were impacted by his products and services? Now, to give you some clarity on what he's trying to look at, He's wanting to know how many people are impacted or were impacted by the value he created from the stage. So this is like the stage, right? Versus the value that he created when people went deeper with him, not just through books, tapes, audios at the time. Tapes and audios are kind of the same, videos, whatever the case may be. But how many people also came into his community and he was able to take them further than what he could in an hour's time span? Mm-hmm. Guess what he found out?
What?
99% of the people.
I just read. I knew because you.
I talked about this in class.
One of them was 99%. I was going to say that.
One of them was 99%. 1%. I'll start with that one because the next one will be obvious. 1% said they were impacted from his speeches from the stage.
Really?
99%. Product, services, and opportunities to deep dive. Now, I've been told that success leaves clues.
Yeah.
So if this man realized that towards the latter part of his career that he missed out on really creating the greatest value for people, why would we in our start not start creating the greatest value for people?
I agree.
So that's why the YUQ.
Yeah, that's a great explanation right there. And I think you can only tell so much in 30 minutes. Especially you speak in these large scale, big picture ideas. And so if you want to add some reality, some practicality, and some specificity to the ideas you've already communicated, that's the place to go. I think what we're trying to communicate. So anyway, it's been great talking to you today. If you did not enjoy this podcast and you did not gain any value from it,
go listen again.
My new saying. Go listen again. Go like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much.